for an opening statement. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Subcommittee on Border Security and Enforcement and the Subcommittee on Oversight, Investigations, and Accountability. This is a joint hearing on the trafficking, exploitation, and missing unaccompanied children of the southwest border. We're here today to examine how the Biden-Harris administration's border policies have allowed dangerous cartels, criminals, and human traffickers to prey upon the world's most vulnerable people, unaccompanied children that come to our country. Our committee has been actively engaged in addressing this important issue. In August, I, along with Chairman Green and Bishop, sent a letter to the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Humanitarian Services and Director of the Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement, Robin Dunn Marcos, requesting critical information on the screening and vetting of potential sponsors. In September, Chairman Bishop and I held a member briefing with officials from the Department of Homeland Security and Health and Human Services to better understand how DHS encounters, screens, and transfers unaccompanied children to HHS, and how HHS subsequently places those children with potential sponsors. As the administration's border crisis continues to spiral out of control, the number of unaccompanied minors arriving at the southwest borders has increased greatly, turning the situation at the border into a devastating humanitarian catastrophe. In fact, the Biden-Harris administration has encountered nearly 530,000 alien children at the border to date. In comparison, the Trump administration had less than half that number over the same period of time. I think America, we should ask ourselves, why are so many children arriving at the border alone and afraid, sometimes in the hands of an unconfirmed relative with no apparent indications of family connection? These children show up with arbitrary phone numbers and addresses scribbled on their arms as if they're like packaging arriving at someone's warehouse or doorstep. Some children arrive at the border, appear to be drugged, preventing law enforcement authorities from properly questioning them about those they're traveling with. This is outrageous, and it's an affront to the very core principles that form the morality of any decent nation. Certainly, Americans should not accept this moving forward. The purpose of this hearing is to put some hard facts on the table so that we can work together on both sides of the aisle and address actual solutions. The Biden-Harris administration has stated that they have the most humanitarian border policies in history, yet we witness these horrors that are happening, and there's nothing humanitarian about enabling criminal cartels to exploit, abuse, and profit from vulnerable children. Once the children enter the United States, Customs and Border Protection, the CBP, and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and Health and Human Services, HHS, are tasked with their well-being and safety. Initially, CBP works to process and screen those children once they're encountered at the border. Next, HHS works to identify and place them with a potential sponsor. Finally, ICE works to ensure they follow through with their immigration court proceedings. That's how it's supposed to work. However, those agencies do not have the capacity or resources to handle the sheer number of children who've crossed the border in the last 4 years. Compounding this crisis, the administration is not thoroughly vetting potential sponsors. This is a serious weak link in the chain. According to information leaked to the media, Health and Human Services reportedly lost contact with more than 85,000 unaccompanied children between 2021 and 2023. Now think about that. That's the size of major cities in America. In my district, that would be about the size of Lake Charles, Louisiana. 85,000 children that are stated and known to be lost, and this was a year and a half ago. We are appalled that our government has neglected its primary duty to protect the safety and well-being of those children placed in our care. It's entirely unacceptable that the current administration has allowed human traffickers to take advantage of this ongoing border crisis. We have a responsibility to our nation to fight against the human trafficking horrors and to find and rescue the children that are currently missing. I'd like to express my gratitude to our witnesses for appearing before the committee today. Before I yield to the ranking member of the Board of Security Subcommittee, Mr. Correa, I'd first like to thank my good friend and colleague, Representative Dan Bishop from the great state of North Carolina, for joining me one last time as we work together to bring awareness to this very important topic. After winning a special election in 2019, Representative Bishop was appointed to seat on the House Homeland Security Committee. He later became chairman of the Subcommittee on Oversight, Investigations, and Accountability in 2023. Known for his tenacious questioning of hostile bureaucrats who've come to testify before both this committee and the House Judiciary Committee, where he also serves, Dan has devoted himself to combating the abuse of weaponized government. Dan is an extraordinary champion of the right to free speech, defending the homeland through strong border security and enforcing the immigration laws passed by Congress. Agree or disagree with him on policy, Dan Bishop's intellectual rigor and command of the law are indisputable and have earned him the respect of colleagues on both sides of the aisle. There is never any doubt about where Representative Dan Bishop stands. It's been an honor to serve with him on this committee, and I'm sure that he will continue to use his God-given talents to serve our country. With that,